What's up, guys? It's the Wolf. You read the title. You know your boy is out here doing his thing. And what thing is that? Well, buying a car as a national. Let's get into it. As always, guys, please hit that bell, like, and subscribe. To all the people who love me, I love you back. To all the people who don't like me, I wish you well. To the rest who just like to watch, I'm watching you as well. Let's get started. Bell, like, and subscribe, guys. Welcome to the tribe. You guys know if it's the truth, here it shall not be denied. As always, guys, remember we have conferences coming up. You can always check those out on Black Site 32, Zoom conference page or conference page. And the next one is going to be August 30th, I believe. And then we're going to do one or two more after that for the year. So check those out periodically. Now, a couple of things. Please make sure you guys look down below to see if you are still subscribed. Some people have said that they were unsubscribed even though they didn't mean to be. I'm pretty sure it's a system attack, but we'll leave it alone. Maybe it's just a YouTube algorithm. I'm sure it was a mistake. Anyway, with that being said, also, if you have not signed up for the newsletter or if you have and you haven't gotten anything from me email wise, double check that. Please go to blacksite32.com, sign up for the newsletter on the newsletter page, and or ensure that you are still signed up. If you have not gotten a notification from me or an email with information and discounts or whatever else we got going on or inside national only information, then the system, the site that I go through may have unsubscribed you because it looks like there's about 3,000 people that are missing from my list mysteriously overnight. So double check if you're on the newsletter and also make sure you are subscribed. Now, let's get into it. So, anybody who knows this about me, I'm not a big, flashy guy. All right. So, everything I do is pretty much, I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy things, but I don't need like a cajillion dollars. I don't need the fastest car or a plane, just nice stuff. And I want what I want. That's it. And if it happens to be a little expensive, cool. Happens to be cheaper, bonus. Right. So when buying a car, I haven't gone new car shopping, I don't think in my entire life ever. I like buying used cars. Okay. Though I don't normally like used things. I really don't. Car for some reason, probably because I've only had used, and I used to sell cars for those of you guys who don't know. So for me, I've always gone used car shopping and I always try to buy cars that are like the diamond in the rough. I want low miles. I want it to look nice, ride nice, smell good, look good, not too many miles. So I reluctantly decided to finally do the adult thing and to buy a functional car for the winter months, grocery shopping, picking up larger things. Um, so by all means, guys, please understand that though there are tons of way better cars than what I got a good price on it, and I'm not trying to brag or show off or any of that other stuff like that. Um, but also with that, my old car that I had, I was going to junk it. Still pretty decent miles on there. Probably could get a grand or two out of it, no problem. But one of my guys, he doesn't have a car, and so I gave him my old car. I mean, it was an older Mercedes. Some of you guys may have seen it. It was a gray one of the first ones that I ever got into all of this right to travel biz with. So me and that car, I mean, it's the one that got me started with right to travel. It's the one first one that I got arrested with and all that kind of stuff. So it meant a lot, but also at the same time, I had to let it go. It was starting to cost me more money. It was a '05. So like I said, guys, I don't really buy like brand new anything, right? Um, so I donated the car to him, so he was happy, and his family was like, "You got friends that give away Mercedes?" Like, because it still looks really nice because I had it repainted, but it's just starting to rust out in spots, and it's got little things that are cosmetics. The windshield wiper, the fluid doesn't spray anymore. One door has it's kind of gets stuck. It is what it is. For somebody getting it free, it's and it's an AMG. So because like I said, I do like stuff. I like older stuff. I like solid things. Anyway, so with me and my lady, the kids, whatever else, I decided to get a new vehicle. So I'll show you guys what the vehicle looks like. I'm going to show you on my monitor here. So bear with me. I know this is ghetto, but it is what it is. All right. Uh, so there, the white SUV truck. Okay. So that's all me. So let's talk about the process for those people who have never done this and people who don't think it's possible or whatever else. So your first hangups, if you're going to do right to travel, is that every place has a commercial side, but they can do private side stuff. And by private, I just mean that it doesn't have to be formal. All right. You still have to do the paperwork and all the good jazz. But here's what my experience was this time and with my previous vehicle. Um, so I only, so technically I had three, technically legally I have three cars, but the other one's being transferred over. So I only have two cars. Okay. So with both of these cars, the process has been basically about the same. So I won't bore you with the details of car shopping and hunting around or whatever else, but you make contact with the dealer and the dealer will say, okay, do you want to, come in and test drive the car and all that kind of good stuff. And that can be a little daunting because as a national, if you don't have a driver's license, which you can do right to travel, have a driver's license, and then but not use the license because you're operating in a private capacity if your vehicle is private. So having it is not a bad thing because it allows you to then test drive the car. If that's what you want to do. It also allows you to rent vehicles more easily. Okay. These are things that I don't really need to do or whatever else. Right. Even when I bought, that truck, in all honesty, it was out of state, great price on it. It's a Cadillac. So like I already know that it rides good. And dealer selling it, it ain't gonna be some trash like a smaller dealership sometimes can be. So for me, I was like, nope, don't need to test drive it or any of that kind of stuff. And so for me, because I used to work on cars, I know what to look for. So, I'll be reviewing the car. I've already seen like, a couple small things, but that car in itself too is what, 10 years old? So it's a 2015. So it's going to have some rust, some wear, tear, whatever else. I won't bore with like all the mechanical stuff, but it's good. It's probably like 92% good. So when it comes to financing, that can be difficult because if you're going to do right to travel, a lot of times everything that they want to have from you is you have a driver's license, we want to hold the title, blah, blah, blah. Now, I haven't tried to do financing and then trying like where it's my name and credit, and then I have them title it in the name of my entity. I haven't done that yet. For me, it's either been cash or like a, a investor finance. It's also one of the reasons why I like to buy, used cars because I could not afford that car if it was brand new. Mm-mm. So, but this one was in my price range. So essentially, I called them, and this particular dealer, I won't put them on blast, but it was like when you go to a car dealership, unless you look, walk, talk like you have, money, a lot of times they don't really, especially at the nicer dealerships, even the fact that I used to work at, higher end, middle end garbage car dealerships. Um, so I always try to just talk nice. This is what I want. Ask real simple, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, found the vehicle. Don't need to test drive it. I want to buy it. I'll take care of my own financing, so you don't have to worry about that, which they don't like because they can make way more money on you financing, but they're also not stupid. A good, quick, solid cash deal can get you some money off, even though a lot of these places are running pretty lean unless they can sell you the warranty or do the financing for them. So long story short, they worked with me, so I got the warranty to cover it, whatever else. Um, so gave the baby their bottle a little bit. They haggled a little bit, but not much. But the rough part was when you're talking to them and they're like, well, we can't put a vehicle in the trust, and then I'm like, yeah, you can. There's nothing illegal about that, and they're like, well, but it has to have an EIN. No, it doesn't, especially because we're not financing it. And if I was financing it and I was putting it in my trust name, you don't need that either. But see, a lot of these places are so used to everybody just, I need financing. Here's my driver's license. That's like breathing to them. So I challenged them, and of course they got kind of puffy about all that. But I was like, look, I said my entity does not need an EIN, but it does have one. So I want it titled in my entity. I said all you need by law is my SS4 proving that my entity is real, and even that they don't really have to have. But for their comfort, they will say that they need it. Okay. Now it's not like I'm going to a bank and open up a bank account. I'm got my own finance. Just give me my shit. Right. So I said, all I'm giving you is my SS4 and my passport. They said, well, in order for you to drive, I said, don't worry about that's not whatever I'm doing with it is not your business. This is a private government purchase of a vehicle. It has an EIN. So then with their little investigative skills, and that's going to come into part later on, they were like, well, we looked you up in your state and we can't find you. And I said, exactly, because this is a private government. I'm registered directly to the government, not to the state. I don't have to be registered to the state. I don't want to be. I'm not a sub franchise of them like you are. Of course, they may have been a little bit harder because this is an out of state thing. Guy calls up on the phone, we're talking or whatever else. So it's a little different than what they're used to. They're all like, I had one dealership was like, well, we're not going to say anything unless we see you. I said, you mean to tell me if I send the money over and I tell you where to ship it, you have to actually see me? You're not going to sell me? And it was a fire truck. It was a black version of that one. Um, and somebody had it all custom done as Iron Man. So it had Iron Man symbols that would light up, and the seat was embroidered. And it had TVs in it, and I was like, "This is really nice. This is really nice." But that they didn't want to move on that, so I said, "Okay, well, whatever. I guess you don't want to move the vehicle. I thought you guys were in the industry for selling cars, but whatever." So I went to the other dealership, came back to the one that I'm talking about now. So they were like, well, we need your driver's license. I said, no, you don't. I said, that's not a law. I said, if I were to come there and to test drive it, you can ask me for that. Because in their minds, their whole world is based on you have to have a driver's license to drive. And that is correct. But they don't really understand private travel. Now, the car before this in the same state, one state over from me, I bought all that, paid for it, and the guy showed up, dropped off the vehicle, and that was it. I said, that's all the transaction needs to be. I show you my passport so you can identify who I am. I get it. I'm over the phone. I could be, some kind of weird whatever to whatever. Um, so I provided them my passport information. I provided my SS4 with my EIN on it, which also then had my name on it. That's it. It's all you need. They can say, well, in the state of whatever, you need to, have that's, I'm not operating. See, they don't understand that there's a difference between operating within the state, meaning you're on their paper, your car, you or whatever else is registered or is going to be registered. Yes. For the private sale of an automobile, Like I made the other video last week. When did your automobile become a motor vehicle, Mr. Officer? It became that way when you registered it to the state. That's why your patrol car is considered a motor vehicle. Your patrol car is not an automobile because whoever owns the thing or where it's then registered or registered becomes the owner or co-owner of it. And with registration comes the rules that pertain to that membership or and authority. Ergo, my car is an automobile. That one is not registered. Does the state know that the sale happened and that my government owns that vehicle like the other vehicle? Yes, absolutely. Now, the only difference is when I bought my older vehicle, that one I put into a trust right away. This one I actually put into the other one is in my government's trust. This one is directly owned by the government, but the government also owns the trust and owns that vehicle. So I did it just a little bit different. The previous one, I gave them my P.O. box as an address. This one, I did not. I gave them my actual home address, which is fine. It is what it is. You can do either way, just giving you guys the overstanding of how to move. I do prefer the P.O. box address better, but in this case, even I didn't even get like the hard copies. Like they sent me a digital file. So I guess I got to print all those out. So I have my title and whatever else. That's all weird and crazy to me. Um, but once again, it was also getting them to understand that I didn't try to tell them I'm not driving, that I'm do private travel. I didn't try to do all that. I just said no. I said by law, this is all that you need. And they're like, well, if we let you drive off the lot, we don't. I said, it's not your business what I do with that. You're not the law. No aspect of this of the law. You are to comply with commercial rules and regulations, not the law. There's nothing here that's illegal or unlawful whatsoever. This is just a transaction for the purchase of a private vehicle and a vehicle to be used privately. So they were still acting a little funny. Long story short, I contacted another dealer. Dealer's like, yeah, we'll put it in your trust right away. We don't even need to see all that. It's like, thank you. Somebody knows what's going on. And they were a smaller dealer, right? So to be a dick, I contacted the sales lady I was talking to at the other dealership, and I said, "Oh, I'm just gonna go and buy this other dealer." I was like, or this dealer, Carpenter's dealer dealership. It's like they're not giving me half the guff you guys are doing. I was like, they agreed to it. I was like, we're drawing up the paperwork right now. So they decided to steal the deal, which they ended up doing, even though I didn't really want to deal with them like that. But don't let your ego get in the way of yourself. Don't let you get in the way of you. So I said he's willing to make a deal. He's going to get me with this price. It's a year newer. It's got less miles. It's the same basic class. So they took the information. I only gave them partial information because I didn't want them bothering that guy or trying to screw my deal. So they found the car and talked it over, seeing what they had going on, and then they got back to me and they said, "Well, that car has suspension problems, and we just put like 5 grand into this one and la la la, and we all know it wasn't 5 grand. Dealerships ain't gonna put 5 grand into a car. They paid their guys hourly rates. They took their own parts at cost and they put them on there, and they said it was worth that much, and that's probably how much would have needed to be paid roughly anyway. So another place, they were giving me a better deal anyway. I was like, yeah, I'll pay. I was gonna pay 5 for it, but I was like, but okay. So they basically did everything they could to win me back over. So I said, I'm gonna make a decision in the next hour. And I said, look, if you guys want to close this deal, it's not gonna be any of this rah-rah talk. I said, I used to sell cars. I was like, I've worked at 3 different dealerships. I know what it is. I'm gonna give you if you are going to guarantee me there's no more bullshit. I'll give you my passport. I'll give you my SS4. You can call the IRS or whatever else. See, it's legit. And then I'm going to wire the money. That's it. So they agreed. I said, okay. So I contact the other guy, told him, I say, I appreciate your honesty and working with me. Don't change a damn thing. That's great. But I went with the first dealer and picked it up. So you guys just need to know that if you're going to do right to travel, depending on how you move and how your finances are, whatever else, these are the goods and the bads of trying to do a private deal to get a vehicle, but it can be done. Nearly, and I do mean nearly, everything you buy, you can pay for, you can have finance through you and your straw man. That's what that's for. And then get the vehicle titled or whatever else in a different name. If your entity, mine doesn't at this point in time, though that's one of the projects I need to start doing, has credit. If not, it probably has very little credit. They start businesses and entities off with a little bit more credit than a regular person. Okay, and the credit scale is a little bit different. I think for businesses it's like 0 through 80, and then people it's like what 0 through 850, something like that, right? So if it has credit, you can do that. If not, you'll have to use yours. If you have a little bit on the business and more on you, you can combine those things. So, other than that, for me, because I gave away my old vehicle, I still have the plates. So, those plates are going on, or actually, they're on that one right now. Um, and other than that, I wouldn't recommend the average person just to buy a vehicle like I did unseen. You definitely want to, but I also know how certain cars, I know how they move with. You know, this is a nicer car, so I already know that it's going to be in damn good condition. I went through all the pictures. I know what to look for. They didn't have anything of the on the undercarriage, which if you look underneath, like most cars, unfortunately, in the Midwest, they're going to have some, rust damage. Um, but everything underneath is pretty solid. I may at some point in time, depending, I mean, now that I'm broke again, um, have the bottom powder coated or rubber sealed or something like that just to get a little bit more life out of it depending on what price it is. If I had my own lift and whatever else I would do that. I don't. I'm not like Mr. Beast balling out of control by any means. Um so another thing when it comes to the cars that would be wise, so I just sometimes do very last minute wild as shit things. It would be wise, especially if your credit is not great, to partially finance it or fully finance. That's not a bad thing. I just really hate car payments, but at the same time, then that's also me depleting my financial reserve and then having to rebuild. Okay. Once a year, I kind of do that, take care of the house, whatever. So, once again, I mean, I was never rich, but back to being less, more, no, I won't say more poor. I'm, they took my money for the vehicle. All right. So, um, but it would be wise. I mean, and you don't have to go to a bank. You can go to, there's other crowdfunding or peer-to-peer type, places where you can get, financing. Now, of course, you're supposed to tell them what you're really using it for. But if you don't want the banks involved, you can do it that way. If you don't mind the banks, then just go ahead and do the whole thing. So really what should have occurred is I should have put a decent chunk down and then just financed a small portion of it to then help improve my credit. My credit's okay. For me, it's just I really, really hate making payments, but I guess I could have put them on auto pay, but I don't really like that either. So, um, but you have to do what's best for you. But what I will need to do is I will need to go in there and get a loan just to build my credit. And then what I would like to do is to put my governmental entity on it so that I can help to improve its credit as well. That's the goal of most of these things, guys, is to have more than one public transmitting utility. More than if your credit gets messed up, you can use your entity or entities. I'm not going to say they have the system specifically designed this way, but it is damn near impossible for anybody to run a perfect life gamut of life in general and then not mess up your credit or have somebody mess up your credit or somebody steal your identity and mess up your credit. So you should have more than one thing. I recommend a bare minimum of two. To a good point would be three. I have three different bank accounts. I would recommend I have multiple entities, but if you're serious about this, then you should have like three different things so that if one of them goes down, you've got something else. Okay. Whether it's the EIN or EIN with credit on it, any opportunity you can use to use your entity or yourself to help each other where it's not going to be detrimental or destructive to the other one, you should be doing. So, once again, guys, thank you for watching the videos. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And remember, if one dealership won't work, go to another one. But generally, a lot of them are not going to let you test drive the car without a license. And though I didn't mention this earlier, one of the reasons why they want the driver's license because they want to sell your information. They want to see who you are. They want to be able to market to you. They want to be able to sell information, guys, is the new gold. Well, actually, it's always been gold. Yeah. So, but now it's even more so gold. Even using your chat, everything you talk to the chat about is not private. They sell all that information. They want to get inside of your head. They actually have technology that reads thoughts. They're, I have heard allegations that that type of device or magnetic frequency interaction, which is a patent, you can look it up, could possibly be already in your cell phones. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes when you think of something, all of a sudden it starts to appear on your timeline or your whatever else. I can't prove that one. I haven't sat down to research it. But goodies like that, YouTube channel, Badwolf Unrestricted. I think you guys might know the guy who runs that one over there too. So help me to get that channel off the ground, guys. I'm trying to hustle. I'm trying to make sure that I get you guys what you guys want to hear and the stuff you don't want to hear. But that way you can make up your own decision if you want to use it, lose it, or whatever else. So me not giving them that, because remember, the passport doesn't have your zip code, doesn't have your address on there. They can't get to any of that good information. So they don't like it. Tough titties. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Wish me well. It's safe, positive energy to you guys. And yeah, I guess I will be. I finally have a nice vehicle that I can use in the winter time and whatever. So I'm doing that dad thing growing up. The wolf is the wolf ain't a pup anymore. Moving like a man's man. I don't know if I like it. Then again, like my last name, I guess I love it. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your appreciation and your prayers and all that good stuff for me and mine. I wish you guys the same. Whatever you wish me, I wish you double that back. See what I did there? I'll talk to you guys later.